Morning. Well, we face many issues. There's a terror, there is sickness, there's fear stalking the land, and the very water we drink, the very air we breathe, often makes us sick. The example of Delhi recently shows how people can be choked by the very air they wish to live by. Air pollution is the fourth largest threat to the human life. And its deadliest form, it is killing millions of people every year. Millions of people. You see, recently WHO and the World Bank combined and did a study. And the study was very aptly named the cost of air pollution. This study revealed certain facts which have established that not only is air pollution, as I said earlier, fourth largest threat to mankind, and is threatening the very existence of human life, of animal life, and in fact the very name of life on this planet, but is capable of decreasing, minimizing the quality of life. The facts revealed are shocking. 92% of the world population, 92%, is living in places where air pollution exceeds the safety limit. 92% means approximately it's a bit more than 9 out of 10. I was reading recently that in one Syrian refugee family which came to Bradford as 11 members. So you can be sure that 9 plus dash dash dash, one is the marginal, are living in polluted air. Not here in Canada, but we are taking an average. And as I said, that is the reason that is the fourth largest threat to the human health. The only other threats, health threats, are high blood pressure, dietary risks, and smoking. And air pollution not only causes respiratory diseases, cardiovascular diseases, and chronic lung diseases, including lung cancer. And yet, the governments have not done anything. Some governments have done a great thing. You remember that we had recently put on the Facebook 2 new inventions. One was a giant vacuum sucking the very dangerous particles from the air and rendering air safe to breathe in. But that's very rare. It's only one country which has done it. And the second country had started making diamonds out of that. Anyway, we'll come to that later on. Are you aware that 6.5 million people die every year because of air pollution? And that is basically 11.6% of the global deaths. You know, people are amazed that AIDS kill people. People are terrified. People say that the road accidents kill people. People are terrified that TB is a scourge. But are you aware that the deaths from air pollution are more than the deaths caused by HIV, road accidents, tuberculosis combined? 94% of the deaths of this 6.5 million are those and belong to that category which we normally call lower middle class and poor sections of society. That is the marginal sections, the sections of society which cannot protect themselves. 94% of the deaths occur in that sector. Parts of Africa, Eastern Europe, India, China, Middle East are the biggest danger spots. And now this is amazing that on one side China and India pride themselves on being the economic engines, pride themselves on being the growth economy, and they are absolutely unmindful of the horrendous danger that is caused to 2.5 billion people. There are 2.5 billion people living only in China and India. And these two countries are the worst affected countries in the world. And they are also the largest economies. This is a contradiction. This is an anomaly that needs to be addressed. Why should we give so much of importance to economic growth and not to the health issues? This is, the priorities seem to be jinxed. Priorities seem not to be right. And secondly, are you aware that because of air pollution, the annual loss to the labor income, to the people's income, through the word is $225 billion. And naturally, if the loss is $225 billion, the majority of the loss would be in China and India. So if they could control the air pollution effectively, then the GDP would grow still much more. Their economic growth would be more. The negative impact of air pollution needs to be decreased, even if your priority is economic development and not health. This is being, as I said, putting cart before the horse. The first priority should be clean water, clean air, clean food, and then economic growth. As a matter of fact, they are closely related. You cannot have economic growth in the polluted situation. Imagine there is a tiny particle, we call it PM 2.5, and the diameter of that PM 2.5 basically means is less than 2.5 micrometers. Now this PM 2.5 has the capability of going into your lungs and your cardiovascular system and destroying them. Naturally, lung cancer, lung disease, respiratory diseases, heart attacks, this PM 2.5 is the worst one, and more polluted the air, more is the number of PM 2.5. And that leads to the loss of $225 billion every year. And then, the average concentration of PM 2.5 should be below 10 micrograms per cubic meter, which is not. It is far exceeding the limit. Are you aware, by the way, that in Delhi this time, the quality of air was 4,300 times worse than it should ideally be? Now, this being the situation, what's the way out? I'll be the last man to say that stop industrial growth. I'll be the last man to say to stop generation of electricity based on the fossil fuels. You cannot do it. You cannot go back on progress. But you can always rectify the mistakes. Have coal as your fossil fuel. But why not adopt clean coal technology? The coal plants, the thermal plants in India, have a fly ash content of 25 to 37%. If the clean technology is adopted, the fly ash content would be reduced to 3 to 4%. It's an investment which will pay itself off in 3 years. That has been calculated by the economists. I'm not saying stop autos or convert them into any other field. If you can find hydrogen cells, they are the ideal ones because the only exhaust out of that is pure water. What prohibits us is the cost. But then in a country like India, it's very easy to have solar-driven cars. And there should be more emphasis on the mass transportation rather than on individual cars. As a matter of fact, again, as I said, our priorities and social systems are absolutely jinxed, absolutely out of proportion. We need to restructure the whole thought pattern. It's not only the priorities, it's our thinking process that needs to be changed and needs to be changed today. And another thing, why can we not remove the congestion? Why is it that the cities are becoming the center of all activity? If all the facilities are available everywhere and a conscious effort is done to decongest the cities, the problem can be reduced appreciably. I remember in Delhi, I told the Prime Minister, Rajiv Gandhi, we had a meeting. And I told him very clearly, we gave a report as well, that it takes just 24 hours to issue an order and decongest the city. Now, you will ask me how. And I told the Prime Minister that National Seed Corporation is there which employs 3,000 people. That means 3,000 families. Now, seeds are not grown in Delhi. Seeds are not used in Delhi. So why should this corporation be there? Why should the headquarters of the income tax be in Delhi and not be in Nagpur, which is the center of the country? Why should National Small Industries Corporation employing 5,000 people be in Delhi? Because all the small industries either in Madurai or in Punjab or in Maharashtra or in Gujarat. Send them out. We identified 24 corporations which are based in Delhi, which need not be in Delhi. If you remove them, and each one of them employs 2,500 to 5,000 people, do the calculation, take each person plus multiplied by 5, and you would find that you will be able to reduce the population by 1/3. Once you remove that population, the air quality will become better because correspondingly the pressure on transportation would decrease, the number of cars would decrease, and the people coming to meet those people, they will decrease. Thereby the spin-off effects will be much more. So you need a bit of imagination. When I say you, I mean the leaders, the rulers, the administrators. We have to manage it. And then what we are doing, we are not managing properly. We need micromanagement at this stage. Micromanagement is the need of the hour, and we are not concerned with micromanagement. Another thing that can be easily done. It may not remove the problem absolutely, but it can reduce the problem. The practice of having lawns and gardens was over long back when the multi-story started. But we can bring that back in with window gardens and the rooftop gardens. At one time, Delhi was the greenest capital of the world, not today. Why? What has gone wrong? And what is, I'm referring to Delhi because I am take that to be the one of the worst cities polluted. And we know that. As I said, this issue which confronts us and assumes alarming proportions need to be addressed and addressed today. The knowledge, the information that is given is with the purpose to ensure that you as wide awake citizens would realize the perils that we are living in, and we have got to face those perils. Where as an individual level, you have got to do something, because what each individual does ultimately becomes a collective effort and is helpful to the world at large. But don't forget, the biggest scourge, the fourth largest danger to us is not really terrorism, but air pollution, water pollution, and then terrorism. Think about it. You would perceive the things in a different light, and the fight against pollution, especially air pollution, should be as determined as fight against terrorism.